Hello, my dear friends. Hello, my dear listeners. How are you all? We hope that we are doing our best to serve our duties with utmost honesty and love. Today, we are here with a with a 1 year pause, I suppose, with a new chapter from the book Anna Karenina, written by Leo Tolstoy and translated by Constance Garnett. The Modern Library, New York, 1920. It was published in the year 1920. So let's proceed further. But before going into or starting a new chapter, please remember that we are here. We had witnessed about a cheating husband and the drama and the pain which is right now inflicted within the both parties, right? So let's proceed with the beginning of a new chapter, chapter 5. Stepan Arkadovich had learned easily at school thanks to his excellent abilities, but he had been idle and mischievous, and therefore was one of the lowest in his class. But in spite of his habitually dissipated mode of life, his inferior grade in the service, and his comparative youth, he occupied the honorable and lucrative position of president of one of the government boards at Moscow. This post he had received through his sister Anna's husband, Alexei Alexandrovich Karenin. Karenin. Sorry for my pronunciation, as my mother tongue is coined from Sanskrit, so it has some mode of pronunciation. So few words will be, I suppose, with best of my intention, will be always mispronounced by me, so please pardon. So let's proceed further. So this post he had received through his sister Anna's husband, Alexei Alexandrovich Karenin, who held one of the most important positions in the ministry to whose department the Moscow office belonged. But if Karenin had not got his brother-in-law his brother-in-law this birth, then through 100 other personages, brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, and aunts, Steva Oblonsky would have received this post or some other similar one, together with the salary of 6,000, absolutely needful for him, as his affairs, in spite of his wife's considerable property, were in an embarrassed condition. Half Moscow and Pittsburgh and were friends and relations of Stephen Arkadovich. He was born in the midst of those who had been and are the powerful ones of this world. One third of the men in the government, the older men, had been friends of his father's and had known him in petticoats. Another third were his intimate charms, and the remainder were friendly acquaintances. Consequently, the distributors of earthly blessings in the shape of places, rents, shares, and such were all his friends and could not overlook one of their own set. And Oblonsky had no need to make any special exertion to get a lucrative post. He had only not to refuse things, not to show jealousy, not to be quarrelsome or take offense, all of which from his characteristic good nature he never did. It would have struck him as absurd if he had been told that he would not get a position with the salary he required, especially as he expected nothing out of the way. He only wanted what the men of his own age and standing did get, and he was no worse qualified for performing duties of the kind than any other man. Stephen Arkadovich was not merely liked by all who knew him for his good humor, but for his bright disposition and his unquestionable honesty. In him, in his handsome, radiant figure, his sparkling eyes, black hair and eyebrows, and the white and red of his face, there was something. There was something which produced a physical effect of kindliness and good humor on the people who met him. Aha, Stiva, Avlansky, here he is, was almost always said with a smile of delight on meeting him. Even though it happened at times that after a conversation with him it seemed that nothing particularly delightful had happened the next day, and the next everyone was just as delighted at meeting him again. After filling for 3 years the post of president of one of the government boards at Moscow, Stefan Arkadovich had won the respect as well as the liking of his fellow officials, subordinates, and superiors, and all who had had business with him. The principal qualities in Stefan Arkadovich which had gained him his universal respect in the service consisted, in the first place, of his extreme indulgence for others, founded on a consciousness of his own shortcomings. Secondly, of his perfect liberalism, not the liberalism he read of in the papers, but the liberalism that was in his blood, in virtue of which he treated all men perfectly equally and exactly the same, whatever their fortune or calling might be. And thirdly, the most important point, his complete indifference to the business in which he was engaged, in consequence of which he was never carried away and never made mistakes. So, my dear friends, we are stopping here and we got three main key features which, if we can follow, I hope that we will also be very popular, right? But our honesty, our own self should judge which principles we have to follow and which shouldn't. So be happy, be jolly. Tata.